Everybody, Andy here again. I'm currently, currently walking out into the Sussex or Kent countryside actually at the moment, I think this is. And I wanted to talk about something that's very big topic in Britain at the moment. The selling off or potential selling off of forests. Now as it happens, I'm actually walking on the Royal Military Canal in Kent at the moment. And this particular stretch of it, not all of it, but this particular stretch of it is actually owned by the National Trust. Which is something that I'll come to in a minute. Now, for those who aren't aware, just before Christmas, the government, the coalition government, announced, apparently the Conservative government that's supposed to be the greenest in history, announced that they were going to start selling off some of the forests that are owned by the Forestry Commission, effectively. I think it works out about, forgive me if I get some of the details wrong, about 15% of the forests that are around in Britain. Now, Britain, well certainly England anyway, is one of the most sparsely wooded countries in Europe. Most other countries in Europe, I don't know what the percentages are, but they are far more forested, wooded, whatever way you want to put it, than Britain is. And yet we want to sell off some of these forests. Now, I know that I've had debates in Parliament started yesterday, and I know the government may well have been misrepresented and some scaremongering has taken place. I'm willing to accept that particular point, and maybe what people think is going to happen isn't quite as bad as what was or is being planned. I accept that, but that's the government's fault for not actually making it plain in the first place. Planting a seed, and maybe it's one of those cases of what governments tend to do in Britain, is they plant a seed and see what the reaction is from the tabloid press or from certain people, see what their reaction is, and if I don't like it, they quietly put it to one side. And if everyone goes, oh yeah, that's a great idea, they run with it. I don't see that's a very good way to do things, but that's another topic. But it comes down to fundamental principles, really, in my opinion. Now, yes, we have a lot of private land in the UK. We have a lot of woodland that is privately owned. But woodland that's owned by people like the National Trust, and that's a charity and that can't be touched, but people like a public organisation, the Forestry Commission, to me, that is public land. It's our land. It's owned, yes, it's owned effectively by the government, but it is also owned by the people. We are the people who elected those governments. And the Forestry Commission was set up in 1919 to preserve woodlands because during the First World War, so much wood was needed to facilitate the war effort, basically, for help building trenches, for railway sleepers, for just about everything you can think of. The technology those days really relied on wood, and we realised that resources were very depleted, a bit like it was after Henry VIII built all of his sailing ships, and we thought about it then. So it was set up to preserve woodland, to forest, yes, as a commercial organisation to an extent. Yes, I accept that we need wood which needs to be managed, which needs to be looked after, bought and sold to an extent, but it needs to be managed, hence the fact that the Forestry Commission was put there to do this. Now, they announced a lot of job losses for the Forestry Commission, so it's obvious that they want this sort of thing to go through, and it's the thin end of the wedge. If places aren't managed, what are you going to do? But the other point with the Forestry Commission and the National Trust and any other charitable organisation, as I said, those woodlands can't be touched, but their principles are open access. Here I am, on my own, walking along a public footpath in National Trust property, and nobody can stop me. There are no big gates with padlocks on. Sometimes there are facilities for people to buy and sell things. There are shops, there are facilities like toilets or cafes, car parks. It's open access for people. Okay, some places are quieter than others, like this, but all of that could well go, or at least it could go in certain areas. Yes, okay, they might put provisos on the selling of these places. They may well lease them out, but once they have been sold, within principle, they are not the property of the government, they are not the property of the people. One of the reasons that we have so much land in private hands now is because it was effectively stolen from us, the public, the commoners, years and years ago. The sort of thing that happened when common land was taken away, and you go back to the sort of Middle Ages and that type of thing, and great landowners came along, and that was one of the problems. I don't want to see that type of thing happen again. I, for one, am willing to protest about that thing. I've joined campaigns and all that sort of stuff. Yes, how effective they are, I don't know, but it's something I feel very, very strongly about. As far as I'm concerned, it's like the old Woody Guthrie song. This land is our land, and don't let anyone try and take it away from me. Anyway, thanks for your time. I'm going to continue on my open access, little free public walk. Long may it continue that way. Thanks for your time. I'll speak to you again soon. Goodbye.